Hey everybody, Matt Malden with Apollo Acres here. Today I'm going to be showing you our trial of harvesting and processing black walnuts. Now black walnuts are very common to grow wild here in northern Alabama. So you've probably seen them around, maybe even in your yard. So what they drop are these big greenish, brownish husks. And inside of these are these shells. And inside the shell is the actual meat of the walnut, which is what we want. But first we got to figure out how to take this husk off. Now I think this is one that's going to be, this one's going to be okay. It's a little mushy. I can dent it with my thumb, but it's not completely black and falling apart. And so yesterday we tried to harvest, we kind of did a trial. And so I went and harvested like a 5-gallon bucket's worth, processed them, cracked them open. I've probably cracked 10 open so far, and only one has been edible. So what I think happened is I harvested a lot that were either way too old, they were just like black and starting to rot out, or some that were, I'd picked some just like off the tree, and they were like a really bright green, like like for instance, like I don't expect this one to really be that good. See, it's very green. It's almost hard as a rock. So this one's probably not going to be good. So I'm going to do a little experiment today. I've got this container here, and I've got 2 more 5-gallon buckets worth of black walnuts, and I'm going to kind of sort them from like from probably underripe, like green and hard, to like black and like mushy, and then somewhere in the middle. That's probably going to be the sweet spot, but I just need to find out so I can get a better idea of what to look for when I'm harvesting. Now when I'm harvesting, I just use, actually give me 1 second, let me grab this tool. It's pretty neat. I just grab 5-gallon buckets or these milk crates, and then I go around with one of these guys. So this makes it super easy. There's plastic on there. This makes it super easy. You can just roll this on the ground, and you got to get one that's they make these for different size nuts that you harvest. So you can harvest acorns, or you can harvest hickory nuts or pecans or whatever. This one's made specifically for larger nuts like black walnuts. So you just roll over it, and then it goes in this little cage, and you can roll over a bunch of them. You can roll over a dozen of them, and then you just push this thing forward and you kind of shake it, and they fall out into your bucket. And so not too bad to harvest. It's certainly easier if you have a walnut tree over like a nicely mowed lawn, and you got them all laying there flat and they're easy to see. You just go over and roll over them real quick, dump them in a bucket, and you're good to go. A lot of our walnuts are like in the woods or right at the edge of the woods, so they were a little tough to have to, climb through the woods and the brush and everything to try to get them all. But, we're trying to see if this is worth doing, if we can get some good food out of this. If so, we'll put a little more effort into making it easier to harvest in the future. All right, let's get sorting. Hey guys, so finished sorting all the walnuts. Looks like I probably have more in the middle basket than the other two, so that makes me pretty happy. Now so I actually end up sorting these mostly by firmness. So basically if any of these, if I could find at least one spot that I could dent it pretty easily with my thumb, then it went in this container. Now if it started to crack or was already falling apart or something, then they went over here. And then the ones that were just pretty much rock hard are over here. So I don't really, my guess is I'm probably not going to get anything useful out of these. I'm probably going to get some out of these, and I hope that most of these are pretty good. We'll see. Now, I will say, so part of this too was to kind of see if I could like visually tell a difference. And I will say for these that are firmer, that I don't think are gonna be very good, these are a good bit smaller than the other two baskets. So I don't know if that's an indication that they just, they didn't ripen enough before they fell off the tree. They were still growing or underdeveloped or for whatever reason. So I think in the future, well, we'll see how the test goes, but I'm betting in the future I'm gonna learn probably to avoid these smaller ones. Yeah, these are pretty good. Now, and I will say these are greener, a little bit greener, certainly than this one. Color-wise, I'm not sure I can tell a huge difference between these two. These are probably a little bit darker, but not by a whole lot. Even some of these small ones are pretty dark and still just hard. Actually, that one's got a little bit of a soft spot. I'll put that one over here. But some of these are still pretty dark and still just very firm. You may have noticed in the video too that I put gloves on. So these husks have like a kind of like a black dye in them, so it will stain your hands, your fingers, your clothes. So you know, wear dirty clothes or old clothes you don't mind getting dirty when you're working with these, and I would recommend gloves. Another thing to keep in mind when you're we're about to do this next step where we're gonna like kind of soak these and start breaking the husk off and everything. There's a chemical in black walnuts that can it can kill certain plants. So you want to be careful where you're going to be dumping the water with all your extra husk waste on it, as where you're going to put your excess husk. Now you can, it is a compound that breaks down naturally, so you can always do like a compost and let it break down, and then it'll be good for your plants. But just something to be aware of when you're doing this. It stains and it has the potential to kill some plants. So with that in mind, let's get started to the next step and see if we can get these holes off. All right, guys, so I've got my 55-gallon plastic drum here. This is what we're going to use to soak them in and to try to beat off those husks with. So there's a lot of different methods to do this, but I like this one. So I'm going to start with these walnuts that were kind of overly ripe, just because I think they're going to be the easiest. I think these, I mean, because a lot of these husks are like already falling off. So we're just going to dump all those in there. Let's see. Then we're going to get our hose, and we're just going to fill this up so that they're floating a little bit. And we'll let that fill up, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, guys, so I think we've got enough water in there now. Okay, now I'm gonna show you this next step. All right, so what I've got here is a corded power drill, and with a long cement mud mixer attachment on it. I would probably use a corded drill just because this is a pretty heavy task and you're going to be running it for a while. It might burn up your battery powered drill. So I'd probably go this direction. Now, anytime you're dealing with electricity and water, you want to be very, very careful. Certainly do not allow yourself to accidentally drop this drill in this bucket of water, and make sure you're on the right kind of outlet. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. We're just going to stick this in here, and we're going to let it go. And we're just going to agitate. Oh, and try not to let your bit fall off your drill. Oops. All right, we're going to try this again. So we're just going to run this, kind of move it around up and down a little bit. And I'm going to do this for probably about 5 to 10 minutes. All right, guys, so I've agitated this pretty good. It looks nice and gross. Doesn't look very appetizing at the moment, but that's okay. All right, so what we're gonna do next, let's see if I can move this to a good spot where you can see everything. So I've got my, we'll get this right eventually. There we go. All right, so I've got my milk crate here that I'm gonna use as a strainer because it's got decent sized holes in it and it's pretty big. I think it'll work okay. It worked okay yesterday. It's not great. I wish the holes were a little bit bigger, but I think it's probably the best thing I have now. So you use what you have. All right, then we're just gonna dump this guy over into our filter. And see, this water is like black coming out. And this may kill all my grass right here. I don't know, we'll find out, but that's okay. I'm probably also dyeing my hose black. Okay. Well, it sounded like a whole lot of hard things rattling around in there, so I think that's a good sign that they're not still in the big soft husk. And then have your hose handy, and we're gonna just spray this off a little bit. Nice and gross. But yep, I see a lot of walnut shells that are out of their husk. See a few whole husks. That's okay. They did pretty good. I'd say just by eyeballing it, probably at least 90% of them, the husk just kind of fell apart into this kind of, made up this kind of sludge. But yep, we'll just finish rinsing these off and then we'll go on to the next step. All right, guys, now that we've got these decently rinsed off, oh, let me get some gloves. Now that we have these decently rinsed off, we're gonna do a float test. So we're gonna take all these shells that we dehusked, we're gonna throw them in a bucket of water, and the ones that float, we are going to get rid of, and the ones that sink are the keepers. So let's just throw some of these in here. Let's see. I would dump it in, but I've still got so much excess of the whole stuff in here that didn't filter through. So I'm just gonna do these by hand. This is actually, so far, all of these are sinking, incredibly. Oh, there we go, we got a couple floaters. Put those in the discard bucket over there. Some of the holes didn't come off. And so when I kind of experimented yesterday, I tried to kind of repeat the whole process to see if I could get the holes off. And it was mostly a waste of time. Only a couple of them really came off. So I think the ones that didn't get their holes removed from that agitating in that 55-gallon drum, I'm just gonna toss them. I'm not gonna try to run them back through. But you know, these are looking pretty good so far. Now again, yesterday, like I said, I did this float test, and I still had a lot of them turn out not so good. So we'll see. So we're gonna keep these our 3 different categories of walnuts segregated throughout this whole process, all the way to shelling them and tasting them, and that way we'll have a good idea of what to look for next time. All right, I'll keep doing this float test, and then we'll get on to the next step. So now you can see what we got for our efforts. Bunch of black walnuts. And they're relatively cleaned off. I'll probably try to spray them off a couple more times. Get as much dirt and that old husk off as I can. Then I will just set this milk crate in front of a box fan, and we'll let them air out and dry off. And then we'll put them in a breathable sack and hang them up to cure. And then I hope to do another episode where we actually crack some of these open and we actually do our little taste test and kind of figure out, you know, our conclusion for our little experiment. I'm not going to show you the the other 2 batches, it's going to be the same exact process that we just did. But yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to open up these little nuggets soon and get some tasty treats. Maybe we'll even make a pie or something for Thanksgiving. So I know this seemed like a lot of effort for maybe not a lot. And by the time I actually shell, even if these are all good and I shell all these, I don't know, I might have like a small Ziploc bag full of walnuts. But I do think this can scale a little better. This is partially because I split up my harvest. I think I could fit a ton of walnuts in this 55-gallon drum. I don't know, probably at least a couple 100 pounds, I think, at a time. And then some people will also use like a cement mixer instead of the 55-gallon drum, and I think that would speed things up and at least take a lot of the manual labor out of it. So I think this could scale a little better. I really hope that it would be great if we might be able to one day sell walnuts at the market. But if not, this is a fun little experiment, fun thing to do with the family, relatively easy. You don't really have to buy any extra tools for this. It was all just stuff laying around. I mean, I guess I bought that little rolling nut harvester that made collecting them a good bit easier. But I do think this is something that you could do pretty easily at home without much input. And yeah, fun little test for the family and rewarding. And yeah, give it a try sometime and let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching.